We just keep walking, and then we turn left, and I was like, no way. Like, there's no way this is happening. Just because, like, why else would I be going in the coach's office? Trace was just like, I would make this special, but you have a flight in 2 hours, and, like, you're going to Boston. Hi, I'm Tyler Uberstine, and this is Cassell's Corner Podcast.
I am joined today by WooSox pitcher Tyler Uberstine. I think I said that right. Uberstine. Once I say a name wrong the first time, I get it wrong. But we're here at the Cove, just outside Polar Park. Tyler is a pitcher with the WooSox and pitched for the Red Sox this year. I'm just calling you Ubi.
Perfect.
That's easier. We saw you pitch last night for the second time, at least in person for me. Since coming off the injured list. It's been an interesting year for you, an interesting year, past few years for you in baseball, and we're going to get there in a second. But when it comes to this season and making your major league debut, to then not pitching for the past month until recently, what has this year been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of ups and downs from, starting out as a starter to getting called up, being a reliever in the big leagues for the day I was there, and then, now kind of transitioning to a different role. It's been really exciting. It's just like kind of embracing every opportunity and, hopefully get back up there soon and pitch again up there.
Yeah, and we'll get to your big league debut and your goals for the season in a little bit. But I think to tell your story, which is one of my favorites currently in the Red Sox organization, we had to go back in the time machine. So let's revert back a couple of years now to Little Ubi. Just out of high school baseball, I don't think you played much in high school, or at least didn't start much, maybe.
Yeah, I think I played maybe pitched 15 innings in high school, didn't make the team one year, was on the Frosh team as a junior. So definitely not your typical high school experience where you're kind of the stud all the way through.
Now, I say Little Ubi because you were a lot smaller back then than you are now, right? What were you playing at in high school, even in college?
I think I went into high school around like 5'1", 115 pounds, and I think my senior year I was like 5'6", 5'7", 150 pounds with no muscle, never lifted a weight. So definitely very different from the 220 I look now.
Yeah, I'm sure looking back at pictures for you on Instagram or Facebook, or I got a like from your mom on Twitter yesterday, so I'm sure she's got some good photos of you back in the day. Yeah. We might have to drop some in, but can you tell us, so you didn't play much in high school, and then you're at USC in a parking lot as a freshman. Can you tell us that story and how kind of baseball evolved from you from there?
Yeah, I always wanted to play out of high school, and I was like a good pitcher. I just didn't have the velocity. But like the stuff was solid for throwing 70 miles per hour, and ultimately didn't get an offer to play, at any level. So went to USC and just was a business student there for, my first 2 years there. And first semester really just focusing on school and really trying to get acclimated, and then wanted to play some club baseball because my roommates were all baseball players as well. And so we started just playing catch on the field and like the rec field, and we were kind of embarrassed just because, like, I don't know, something about our egos, we were just embarrassed to play catch like in public, I don't know. And so we went to we started playing catch on the roof of the parking lot right across from our dorm, like at midnight when no cars were there and there was just like lights and that's it. And that kind of like started the transition back into baseball, kind of just like getting a little more competitive, finally hit my growth spurt, and all that.
So you guys are playing in a dimly lit parking lot at USC, playing catch where no one can see you. How did it progress from there? So you tried out for the club team?
Yeah, so tried out for the club, kind of just working back into baseball, tried out for the club team, and I was just a pitcher, and they kind of were just like, yeah, you're all right, like, I don't know if we got a spot for you. I think they gave me a number. They were like, you're a 6 out of 10 or something. Like they were rating me out of 10. And I kind of like took that disrespectfully because I went to one of their like practices and I was just watching it and I was like, this is so uncompetitive. And it was like, just the quality of play was so low. And I was like, there's no way that like, even if I'm throwing 80 miles per hour right now, like that I'm a 6 out of 10 to these guys. So at that moment, that was when I was like, I don't know if it was a stick it to them or also because I kind of started developing that like passion again because I was out of the sport for half a year, if not longer. That I wanted to really like play competitive and make the actual like Division I team there, and so that's kind of what like really kickstarted me into where I am today, just because kind of that fuel to prove people wrong type thing.
Yeah, PPW, prove people wrong. Yeah. They make bracelets for that. Now, so you decide the club team's rating you a 6 out of 10, which is basically almost a failing grade.
Yeah.
And then you almost made the USC real baseball team, the Trojans.
Yeah.
Did that add a little fuel to the fire too? I think you were cut maybe a week before that season as a sophomore.
Yeah. So like my freshman year, that was like the club baseball year basically, and kept trying to play catch with my roommates on the roof, and then at the semester, that's when I realized I got to get serious and like actually start training. So I reached out to a guy about like an hour and a half outside of LA, and I didn't have a car then. So I would Uber. My parents were like, just Uber. So I would Uber about an hour and a half every other day for the rest of the semester at like 6 a.m. before classes to go play catch and like get back on a mound. And so I'd Uber to this guy named Dave Coggin at PFA Baseball. And I do that and 3-4 times a week for the rest of the semester, and started to like notice that I was getting a little stronger because I was lifting weights, throwing a little harder, and I felt like that was a respectable time for Dave and I both to kind of reach out to the SC coach at the time and be like, hey, this is what we got, like can you give this guy just a tryout basically the following year, and ultimately they said yeah. So going into my sophomore year was the year where I was like, I'm trying to make the varsity Division I team there, and they gave me a good experience where like it wasn't a one-day tryout. It was we basically keep you till you cut you. If not, you make the team. And there was a lot of guys. It's a very like competitive environment then. 35 guys, 45 show up in fall, and a lot of guys are on scholarship. And performed really well, and noticed that me being on a structured program of throwing and lifting actually made me better, and performed really well and thought I had a chance to make the team. Went into Christmas break still on the team, and ultimately didn't make the team, got cut like a week before season, and then just finished my year at SC and decided to try to transfer somewhere else.
It's funny, Ubering an hour and a half so that's probably 2 to 3 hours in an Uber every other morning. In Southern California.
Yeah,
it's gotta be tough. Were you sleeping in that Uber?
Not easy. No, I was not sleeping, but it was definitely took a toll, just because sometimes it's 2 hours on the way back from the Inland Empire to LA, so
that's crazy.
It's a little bit of a way.
That's quite the dedication to get back. You must have really got the bug for baseball then.
Yeah, I think once I saw like some glimpses of like I can, I can fit in and like I can perform here, and at that time I didn't even want to be like, I just wanted to be on the team. If that was me being the 35th guy throwing like the slop innings, like so be it. Like I just love being a part of a team, and that was really what I was going for at SC, and like doing a semester on the team type thing, and like meeting so many great guys, and like just being in that environment again made me realize that like that's really what I want to do, is just like play college baseball, and if that means sit on the bench and just like be a good teammate, that's way more fun than just being a normal like business student. So I think that's kind of like also what really pushed me to want to play, is just like I can go play at another school and I can like have that same team environment.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, like you'll do whatever. We talked to Garrett Whitlock here a couple times in rehab. I think even Tanner Houck to say, doesn't matter what I want, what starter, bullpen, janitor, we'll do whatever just to be part of the team. And it seems like obviously you're a late bloomer in baseball, and then you get this bug again, and you're still getting told no. You're a 6 out of 10. You get cut from USC, but then you go to Northwestern and you make the team there. Yeah. What was that like to finally see your baseball dream? You get on a team in college happen at Northwestern.
Yeah, that was like probably the best experience that could have happened. Just going to a team where like it wasn't, it's not full of first team All-Americans out of high school that are like guys drafted. It was just like a group of smart kids that, you know, can compete. And, you know, Coach Spencer Allen, like he gave me the opportunity, and you know, it was an awesome experience. Just like started and, you know, really got back into the swing of the game, because like in spring or like in fall, it was tough just being out of the game for so long and like not playing much, like just like the baseball IQ of like doing PFPs and like what to throw, when to throw, like a lot of it kind of you had to learn again. So that was an awesome experience, just having the opportunity to actually pitch and be a part of the team. But at that time, my first year, like professional baseball was not even on the radar. I was just trying to enjoy the experience.
Yeah, and you go from enjoying the experience to getting drafted by the Red Sox, and I think it was 2021, I believe, in the 19th round. I'm just gonna look at my notes here every once in a while, but someone in the Red Sox, because like your college stats, I admitted to you off air, didn't jump off the page, but obviously you impressed someone with the Red Sox. They drafted you in the 19th round. Then you find yourself in professional baseball, which I'm sure you never imagined was going to be your story, right? I believe you worked your way up from low A to high A, first year in pro ball. Then the next year, I think it was 2023, you were in spring training and you felt discomfort in your elbow. And you had Tommy John. It's got to be tough. I mean, you obviously have a good first year in pro ball. You're trending, and then you get this injury. What was that kind of like for you?
Yeah, it was tough. Just 22 was a really good year, and I think that kind of like started to put me on the map in the sense of like, this guy isn't just a strike thrower. He also has good stuff and like can perform at the higher levels. And you know, performed well in Salem and Greenville, and I was like, you know, the velocity wasn't there yet. It was like 90, 92, 93, 94 maybe once in a while. But, you know, that off season going into 23 and, you know, really put some good work in and showed up to spring training like a different pitcher and was throwing significantly harder. And I think like for me, like seeing the results in spring training and like the velocity, like everyone was pretty surprised just because it was like such a big jump. And then got hurt in the last inning of the last spring training day, and tried to like nurse it for like a month or so, and ultimately had to get TJ. And you know, that's not the easiest progression back, just 14 months and a lot of down days, a lot of good days, but ultimately got through it, and you know, here we are.
How's the scar?
The scar looks great. Meister does a good job. He does a really good job. Can't really see the scars.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah,
I got to put suntan lotion on it in the summer a little bit here and there. So, and Tommy John, unfortunately, has become a story for a lot of pitchers, and it's almost like not if, but when for a lot, like either internal brace or Tommy John. But nevertheless, 14 months being on the shelf's got to be tough. But when you came back, and I just want to read some of your, even some of your splits or some of your numbers from last year, or even you came back at the end of 2024. You pitched in the Arizona Fall League, and then you started last year with Portland Double-A. You made 6 starts, and then you came up here to Worcester and you made 15 starts. You pitched in 19 games. You had a 3.5 ERA, 137 strikeouts. You were named Worcester's Co-Pitcher of the Year, and you had the most strikeouts in innings pitched for any pitcher in the Red Sox system. To come back from TJ and then to rise up again, to go from Double-A to Triple-A, and Chad Tracy said many times here at Polar Park how surprised and what a great revelation you were, because I'm not sure they were expecting from you that year, and then you become the pitcher of the year. So what was that like to not only come back from Tommy John, but come back stronger and work your way up here to Triple-A?
I had a really tough 14 months in the sense of just like my arm was just not, it didn't feel normal yet. And I think that's like very common with some guys. Some guys it's not, some guys it is. And you know, I came back for, you know, 2 or 3 innings in 24 in high A, and then I pitched in Arizona, and still like I could just tell I wasn't myself out there. Like I felt healthy, but just like the velo's not there as easy, and you know, you're still kind of getting back into the game. And so coming into, you know, last year, it was really just like, don't be in high A, and you know, like let's you know, be healthy and have a great year, you know. And kind of went into Double-A, and they told me I was the opening day starter, and like that was a good feeling. And I wasn't reading into it too much, like maybe it was just timing wise. And you know, had some really good starts there, and you know, the pitching coach there really helped me like work on some things, and ultimately got here. And Epi kind of told me that I'm here for 1 or 2 starts and just to like make the most of the opportunity. And like that's kind of what I really thought of. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go up, eat some innings, and then they'll send me back down. And I think the first outing was a little rough, just like some walks and some stuff that I was kind of in the org known as not doing. And but after the first outing, really just kind of realized the opportunity I had, and I think once you get to Triple-A, you realize how close you are to the big leagues, just because like every week guys are going up and down. And I think a switch just flipped, and like mentally and physically, like I realized it was time to kind of just like turn it on. And I don't know what exactly happened, but just the work I put in and the coaching from Dan and a bunch of guys just kind of like helped me have a really successful year.
Yeah, not a 6 out of 10 anymore last year, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a 9 or 9.5 out of 10 last season.
Yeah.
Like I said, you were the co-pitcher of the year for Worcester, put up all these numbers. And then you parlayed that into you added to the 40-man roster last November for the Boston Red Sox, which is always a good sign. And then you were part of the rookie development camp. I saw you at Fenway Park in January, another good sign. And then you had a good spring training, but you were slotted here, number 2 starter in Worcester. It was like the second to last time I've seen you pitch, to be honest with you. And then early April, you're called up to Boston. I want to make sure I have it right here. April 3rd. So actually you were there for opening day at Fenway Park, which they started on the road. Can you tell us that call-up story, how Trace told you and how you found out you were joining the Red Sox?
Yeah, we're in St. Paul and it's like 10 degrees and snowing every day. And we're trying to figure out if we're playing or not. And Dan and Junis just came up to me and pushed me back a day because of like a rain out or snow out, I guess. And then like 5 minutes later, they both walk up to me and they're like, hey, can you come meet with us? And I didn't know like why they both came up to me, because like we're very casual, our relationships. We're like one of them, hey, we're moving you back a day. And it's just like, that's that. But they both grabbed me and we're like walking, and at St. Paul, like the coach's office to the left, and then like way before that to the right is where like Dan and Junie would sit. And we just keep walking, and then we turn left, and I was like, no way. Like there's no way this is happening. Just because like why else would I be going in the coach's office? And it's funny because right before we left on the road, I was talking to Mickey, because like this is my first road trip on the 40-man. And I was like, Mickey, what do I need to bring? Like, do I need to bring anything special? Like I got a suit in the off season just in case. And like, do I need to bring white pants? Like, what if we're at home? Like what do I do? And he was like, it's the first weekend. Like, just, you don't need to bring your white pants. They'll be at Fenway if you get called up. And me just being super neurotic, brought my suit, brought white pants, brought my white cleats, like brought everything. Because I was always told like prepare for everything. And sure enough, that day, Trace was just like, I would make this special, but you have a flight in 2 hours and like you're going to Boston. So that was kind of an insane experience. Just not what I was expecting first weekend or opening weekend for at Fenway, and I think that made it even more special, just like having that opportunity there. So it was crazy.
When you mentioned white pants, is this like a certain white pant that's given out to the 40-man roster, guys?
No,
I'm just like
pants? Very particular. Like they have pants there for us that like size and like fit us.
Yeah. And
then I have pants that I here. But I don't know, I'm very like particular on the pants I wear. Like I wear the same pants, the same socks, like when I'm pitching. Like everything's the same. So like those pants are not the pants. Those are not like they're my pants, but they're not the pants. So I wanted to make sure I brought my pants.
So you have the option to wear different white pants? Like
they're all the same.
Yeah.
It's just like some fit a little better, some fit a little worse. So I just brought everything. And sure enough, I ended up wearing them in Fenway.
So your name, actually it's funny that it's full circle, right? Your name, I think I was there for opening day at Fenway, and I heard your name called out, and the public address speaker obviously didn't get prepped that you were coming up right then and had to learn your last name, but he said it wrong over the loudspeaker. I say it wrong all the time, so I'm sorry. And then, but it's funny that pitchers are particular anyway, right? Pants, what you wear, but you could have come out in these baggy pants for your opening day at Fenway. Could have been not your pants. That's funny that you had your own. Now, another call-up story I always love, other than the manager telling you in person, is who would you call first?
Yeah.
So you're in St. Paul. You got to head to a flight. It's early April.
Yeah.
Tax day's coming.
Yes.
What was the conversation like with who? Who was your first call?
I think it was like April 2nd, or I think it was April 2nd when I got told. So April 1st was right before, and I was trying to think, like, I was already, my mind's spinning. I'm overwhelmed, but I was like, I feel like I gotta make this a little special also for my parents. I can't just like send in our group chat like, get to Boston, and then so I called my dad and I was just like, hey, how's it going? He's like, hey, when you throwing? I was like, oh, I don't know, but you know, I think you got to get a flight to Boston. And he was like, or I kind of prefaced it with like, he's been on my ass for taxes, and I was like, no, I can't do this right now. Like, I got a couple days. Like, let me throw first, and I'll figure it out. So I called him. I was like, I can't really do it right now, but like, there's bigger things. Like, you got to get to Boston. He was like, no, you're kidding. It's April Fool's Day. And I was like, I promise you, I'm not kidding. I don't know what the move is, but I'm pitching. You know, I'm going to Boston right now. And so I called my dad. He was with my mom, and then called my brother and my girlfriend. So it was a good experience.
But your dad thought you were playing an April Fool's joke, and then he was on your ass about taxes.
Yes, he was on my ass about taxes for like a week prior, and I finally, you know, pushed that off and got him to come to bed.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's a classic parent move, right? It's like, I don't care about what you're doing in your life. Like, you need to get your taxes done now.
Yeah.
Let alone you're trying to tell him, hey, Dad, I'm going to Boston to hopefully make my MLB debut.
Yeah.
That doesn't surmise a parent-child relationship. I don't know what does.
Yeah.
And they made it to Boston along with your, I think, siblings and your girlfriend.
Yep.
And then you made your MLB debut, I think, 2 days later.
Yeah.
In a relief appearance, which you're normally a starter.
Yeah.
I know you've been prepping for a possible bullpen role.
Yeah.
You struck out Manny Machado.
I did.
And you gave up a home run to Jackson Merrill.
I did.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
Yeah.
What was that like? Just, you know, I'm sure Machado is someone you grew up, I mean, he played in LA too.
Yeah.
And then obviously playing for the Padres that day.
Yeah.
Just to have the full experience of, hey, this is your big league debut.
Yeah. I think, so first day I did not throw. I did not even get hot. So I think that was a good, just get the feet wet type day, like get the experience in, kind of soak it in. And then the next day, I think if I remember correctly, it was a close game, maybe like a 3-3, 2-2 game most of the game. They took a 3-2 lead, like going into the 9th or something, going into the 8th. And I remember looking to my left and my right, and there's like 3 of us left. And the 2 other guys were burned because they threw, you know, the night before. And I was like, well, if this goes to extras, I might be in there, I feel like. Because like Chappie's pitching the 9th, and then who's going to pitch the 10th? And it was like we were down, I don't know, it was some 3-2, I think, and the phone rings, and we're all like, kind of like, a heart starts beating a little bit every time the phone rings. And they said, Uberstine, you're in the game if we tie it up or take the lead or something. And I was like, Mason Miller's running in the field, and I'm getting hot right now. I'm like, this is probably the craziest debut ever for me. Like, ghost runner on second, top 10, like, I don't know what leverage, like that's a pretty leverage experience for your first one. First ball, I'm like, can barely feel my fingertips, it feels like. And I feel like I'm a pretty calm guy on the mound, like warming up. And I like sail a ball off the catcher's glove, like into the field, first throw. And I was like, all right, first one's out of the way, like now we go. And I just started ripping balls, you know, and didn't get in that day because we lost. But then the next day, I think that got the jitters out. Like that was like, all right, first one, you hear your name called. So the next day, name was called in like the 4th or 5th inning, and you know, threw 2 1/3, and gave up a home run, had some good pitches, was efficient. You know, overall pretty good day. I know I was warming up, and I remember they were telling me the lineup. They're like, all right, you're going in to face Bogarts first, Tatis, and Machado or something. And I think that was like the first moment where I was like, all right, every guy I face is really good. Like there's no like 9-hole hitter anymore. So I think that was, you know, that's the learning curve, I think, is just everyone's really good up there. But yeah, it was an awesome experience, and, you know, saw some success, and I think that really gives me some confidence coming back down here and when I go back up.
Yeah, what a whirlwind of experience being St. Paul. You're packed, you're ready to go, so you're already prepared. But you can't prepare for that moment, because how you're going to react. And then Your name's announced on opening day, you don't pitch. You're in the bullpen looking to see if you might come in against Mason Miller and a hit and runner. You don't pitch. The next day, then you do pitch against Bogarts, Tatis, and Machado, and you struck out Machado. So it was fun to watch you progress, especially after what you did here last year in Portland. And then you came back down here. You dealt with a little right shoulder soreness and pitched a little bit in Greenville to build yourself back up, and now you're back here at Triple-A. You looked good last night. I told you off air, JP Ricciardi, who's come on this podcast, former GM for the Toronto Blue Jays, he said, man, I like that Ubi. He pitches fast and he throws strikes, and he's got a little movement in the strike zone. We saw you dancing around a little bit last night. It feels like you're getting your feet wet again and you feel comfortable. I guess, how do you feel now that you're back from the IL, and what are your kind of goals for the rest of the season? Yeah, no, I feel good, feel healthy. That's really all that matters, is just being available and healthy down here. So whenever your name's called, you can go back up and perform. But yeah, I feel good, and it's been fun kind of transitioning into the bullpen role a little bit. Who knows if I'll have spot starts too? I don't really know, but right now it's out of the pen, and I think it's been fun kind of tinkering with the routine and trying to figure out like what works best for recovery or like warm up. So, learning a lot from a lot of different guys, and like already just learned so much from the guys that I've been with this year, whether it's Canley or Keller, just like on your routine. And I think like everything's kind of coming together. And I think last night was one of the first times where like everything kind of stacked up well, and like the routine, the warm up, everything. So I think that was like really exciting for me going forward, just to like own that role. And I think you had to embrace it, right? Because we saw someone last year, a former teammate of yours, David Sandlin. It was tough for him to go from starter to bullpen. Obviously, it takes a little time, a little transition. You got to prepare mentally. You guys are creatures of habit. You're packing your white pants and suit wherever you go. But I think someone like you, who's kind of been through a lot, is adaptable, right? Yeah. And you just want to pitch. Yep. And when you're a 40-man roster guy, you have to be ready to roll, either the bullpen, spot start, or wherever it is. Do you think? I wonder, because you had that personality, obviously everyone wants to be the number one starter and throwing 200 innings a season. Not many people do that nowadays, but do you think the bullpen might be a good fit for you, at least for now? Yeah, I mean, I think, I think it's a good fit. I don't really have a preference of starting versus relieving. They're very different, but I kind of feel like the role out of the pen I'd be in general is like a guy that throws a lot of innings, so not too much, like physically different. So I think I enjoy both, and I don't have a preference, and whatever they want me at, I'll do. So, yeah. From a dimly lit parking lot at University of Southern California to the Cove here at Polar Park and at Fenway Park this year for you, how would you describe just your journey through baseball? Definitely not over, and it's been a roller coaster of up and downs, and super fun good days, super bad days, and I think that's all part of it. And I think that makes it so much more special, is kind of having those days to look back on and really realize how far you've come. Yeah. Like I said to start the podcast, your journey through baseball is one of the best ones in this organization right now, and fun to tell. So thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Cassell's Corner, and good luck the rest of the season. Thank you. Appreciate it. I also want to thank my producer, Rick Sinclair, for all his help behind the scenes. You can watch this podcast on YouTube, but you can also listen on Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you subscribe to podcasts. So until next time, I'm Tommy Cassell, and thanks for checking in.